Hello everyone, episode 27, A Road to Super Bowl, your NFL preview towards this upcoming season. We are here with season 2 of Road to Super Bowl, and today we are going to discuss the Lions. Will they finally roar over the entire league and bring a Lombardi Trophy to the Motor City? And boy oh boy, I would not be surprised. As I'm recording, I just read today that they are the team that kind of America's average better bets the most on, that they are a team that the books are most exposed on. Meaning, a lot of you guys actually believe that Lions can do it. And spoiler alert, I won't take your hope away. So let's just deep dive into their roster and start with their draft. Slightly before we just go and rank the draft, I will say one thing. I've already said it in season 1, but in case you didn't see the video or it's like 5 months from now, I think the key off-season move was Ben Johnson keeping the job here. Like the ability for him to just say, fuck everyone, I'm sticking with this team. I want this team to win a Super Bowl. I'm loyal. And that's, I think, a huge part on Dan Campbell, the head coach here, that just creates the mentality and the environment for even the coaches that can have pretty much any head coaching job available. Ben Johnson can has anything that he kind of looks at, and you hear it first. I think he's going to be next Buffalo Bills coach after this season, but you will see. The fact that they were able to stick with him, and also one thing I was pretty adamant about is they need to keep believing in Dan Campbell after the fourth down non-conversion in conference championship game against the Niners. And it seems like that's very much of a case. Everybody seems to be still bought into this, still bought in Dan Campbell, and it's just the best news for the Lions. Then let's talk about this draft, and it pretty much was the off-season about let's just look at our weaknesses and fix them twice and perhaps 3 times for good measurement, and also pay our own guys. I like that type of off-seasons. It's definitely the one that you need to do or should be doing, in my opinion, when you are in your Super Bowl window, which Lions definitely are. So we start with Terran Arnold. To me, absolutely excellent pick. I think he fits here with the style he plays. I think he absolutely fits here in terms of a need, because cornerbacks were really a problem. It's one of the most overhauled room in the entire league, and definitely one of the most improved, not only with Lions. So position of need, really top guy from this draft. I had around 16, I think would be appropriate for him to go, not necessarily saying that the 16 team should have picked him, but that was my average draft position for him. So take him as 24, it's definitely value. I absolutely love this pick. And when I said they tried to fix the thing, and if not, fix it twice and 3 times, that here comes Ennis Rakistro. But it could actually be better than B, because it's for the Lions here, and it's for how they approach this position, because I think he would definitely be higher on everyone's board if he doesn't come with injury concerns. And that's obviously a problem when you are kind of counting on the guy. But here, when that's we are already investing in that position, I think it's slightly better to go for the high upside guy that may come with injury concerns, and that if eventually his career is just not good in NFL because of injuries, they're we just took a flyer on him. So this is with injury concern, this is the right spot for Rakistro. So this is not absolutely wasting this pick if this is a calculated risk. But as well, this is calculated here because they are already investing in this position. So I really like this pick. Still, I'm going to give it a B, because those injury concerns, they are scary, man. Then Giovanni Manu, and this one is, that's big, man. Let's put it lightly. I think every time I was looking at him, I was remembering times when I watched WWE, And Big Show just entered the stage, and it was like, here comes the big man, the Big Show, or whatever, like, you know the tune. He's a big man going down, something like that. Here's a Big Show, he's a big man. So it's something like that with GMaty-Manu. I definitely believe that should be something, if he ever makes it to like a starting lineup, it should somehow be incorporated into, like, when, you know, in Monday Night Football they are saying like he's from British Columbia, I would just play the music, you know, and just say British Columbia. Germany, just, you know, don't talk, just say you are a big man. Still, this is a huge reach. Like, for a lot of people, he was not even like not undraftable prospect. Like, he should have not been drafted by a lot of boards that I've seen, including mine, because like I just didn't get to him. So he just wasn't on my radar. Post the draft process, I obviously take a look at him, because yeah, if such a successful organization as Lions are in last couple of seasons, especially in draft and in whoever Dan Campbell kind of picks for this team, if they are doing something like that, you need to pay attention. And I reasoned with this pick. That's why it's not D, which like a lot of analysis was swinging around. Like, despite some benefiting on the draft towards the Lions, it's a C for me. And why is it C? Well, it just makes sense that they were able to develop the best offensive line through mostly talent that they like brought and developed, like brought to the draft or brought to some trades. Okay, that's just Cat, and she was like on Mission Impossible, so I was watching my Cat Cruise, something like that. Okay, so back to GMaty-Manu. And I think he just absolutely makes sense here as like taking a flyer on such a big man. Like, if you are able to use his size and like rather good athleticism and just like make him a player, that could be insane. And I think he is a very interesting potential replacement for Tyler Decker in like 2 or 3 years. So I am behind it, but still, this is still a reach for me. So that's why it's a C. But I will not like this. To me, this pick kind of has like three possible outcomes. One, like, you can use his size for absolutely like certain packages, goal line. You just put him and maybe even make him like some sort of running back. You know, just roll over that line. You know, something like a tush push, like no, like pushing into his tush could be hard for some running backs, I would say. Pretty much, even if it's like entire running back room. Or he just isn't a football player that can make it in NFL. He just doesn't have the processing, doesn't have that much of a quick read. He doesn't have a way to operate that mass that he has for an NFL level, and he just like ends up not working in NFL. Or he is going to be a really good player. So that's our 3 outcomes, which, yeah, I think you could take that. Sianevaki, that's one pick where I'm really kind of not seeing it, though. Again, like, I can hear my voice of reason here, and that voice of reason here is, well, he plays 2 positions. He can play safety and he can play running back, which is like weird. And you obviously don't want that for your starter, because he just will lose stamina very quickly and it's not going to be effective. But for a guy to like have him on the roster that can like be your 4th best choice for running back, 4th best choice for safety, and you can kind of count on him, you know, don't have to spend 2 guys for those positions. Well, that's like, it kind of grown on me. So like, from C- that I was originally giving this was one of the great that the way they seem to be using him is like, seems to be quite smart for a guy that should not be a starter by any stretch of imagination. So for now, I'd probably give it something like a B-. I really started to like the thinking behind this one. And then we go to Mekhi Wingo and Christian Mahogany, and that's where the draft just takes a swing towards absolute positivism. Both of these guys had no business still being up there. Both of these guys fit here. Their investment into D-line, O-line, which is like position especially for the O-line, I think this was actually a really necessary pick, because like, they just don't have depth. Christian Mahogany as of right now might be their best depth option, and you got it with the 6th round, so that's crazy value. And Mekhi Wingo, I think he absolutely will work here. He's just that type of a guy that I think won't come in this locker room. So one of the draft that I was like originally, I really like their first pick, then it kind of turns really poorly, and then they kind of save it. And as of right now, I actually, with me reasoning with Vaki and looking more into Giovanni Mano as a prospect, it kind of grown on me. It still won't crack my top 10 draft, but it's actually from, I don't know, like my 16 best draft. I would put it like towards 12, something like that. So, with that being said, let's take a look at this offense. And we already talked about Ben Johnson. Why, like you can ask why I don't have A+ for him as an offensive coordinator. Well, fuck I know. I mean, maybe I just have it reserved for guys that prove that they can run the entire team while being this offensive, like excellent schedule, scheme makers and stuff. But yeah, I think I still should have Ben as an A+. Like yeah, I mean yeah, there should be an A+. That yeah, just an A+. Let's just give it that. Ben Johnson, like one of the cool things about him is like he kind of is not necessarily like following those McVay train or Shanahan train. Like he kind of meshes some of the concepts they use with Dan Campbell as a head coach, as their mentality, like really playing hard while being able to use certain players to extreme advantage and scheme them to make that advantage. And also, like Jared Goff under him become one of the best QBs in the league. So huge kudos to Ben Johnson. And let's just take a look at what he has to work with. And we start the conversation with Jared Goff, who I have as an amazing starter. And I do understand this is going to be controversial because it puts him over guys like CJ Stroud, Jordan Love. I believe Dak Prescott is also just an important starter. And guys like this, which I'm not sure that everyone out there would agree with. And I'm actually like going to make a counter towards not necessarily my grading, but towards Jared Goff, because I think I'm higher on him than general public is. And still, I kind of was thinking about the contract they gave him, like 5 years, 200 million extension, 4 years, 200 million extension. And I was like, I'm not sure. I'm truly not sure. Which is like weird, right? Like, given that I am higher on him than probably the rest of the league is, and I didn't really hear any complaints about this contract. And here's my thinking about Jared Goff and this payment. Like, first of all, there's pretty much no getting out of that contract. So for next 5 years, because it was an extension, they are here. Jared Goff is here to stay. And for me, Jared, unlike other QBs that I have ranked as amazing starters or better, is a guy that if certain elements of offense are there, he will make crazy use of them. Like, he is really exceptional in that. But he kind of needs certain styles, certain parts of offense to look like in some way, because he's not mobile. He cannot, like he has, like I think he didn't show that he can work with bad offensive lines. And that's kind of a problem here, because part of the success that the Lions had last, specifically last season, but even like end of the year before, they have, as of right now, it's I think undeniable, but even before they had top 5, and now it's I believe top 1 offensive line in the league. And that absolutely suits Jared Goff. Like, he needs to be protected really heavily, because he's not mobile. And he just he doesn't necessarily have that feel about the pressure coming. Like, he needs to count on, like, he can count on people. Like, he won't, step and run because, well, he cannot, but he won't get rid of the ball unnecessarily. Like, he is not timid from pressure, but he needs to have a trust in his offensive line, and he's not necessarily helping them, taking a step forward in the right time. He just counts on them, which is really good thing to have, because a lot of players just don't have it. Then they get rid of the ball way too quickly, or they try to kind of bucket it and run with it. So that's good skill for Jared. But when he's going to be paid like 20 millions more than he is right now, or 30 in terms of a cap hit, suddenly you are also already paid Aiden Hutchinson, you paid Penny Sewell, you paid Amon-Ra, who were on rookie contracts during his really good ascent to essentially being a top 10 quarterback in the league. And when you have to pay these guys, it's going to be super hard and most likely impossible to give Jared Goff the best offensive line in the league. So that's one problem. I think they will, and they already kind of did that in this offseason, though it doesn't look like it, they will need to get cheaper in terms of offensive line. Some of the guys, like Frank Agnew, they will eventually retire because they are coming down there with age. So they will be reasonably cheap because of age, but they won't be here probably like 2027, 2028, though I would really like Frank Agnew to still be a player. But yeah, he's going to be like 31, 32, maybe he can still be there. We will see about Frank. But yeah, that's one. I think really, if they manage to have a top 10 O-line for the duration of the contract of Jared, they've done an exceptional job. And the second part is, he's shown to work really well under Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is going to leave Detroit. I mean, it's I just don't see him turning down next opportunities if they arrive with a good pitch. Again, if Buffalo comes next offseason, it would be super stunning for me if he stays here. So it's going to be most likely, we need a new coordinator. Am I certain that Jared Goff can overcome that? Can overcome worse lines, lesser talent next to him, worse offensive coordinator? That's where I'm more skeptical about Jared Goff than I am about Justin Herbert. About these guys where I think they can make it work pretty much in, I would say, any system, but give him something and they can work with it. I think with Jared it's you have to give him quite a lot and he will freaking elevate it. That's why I absolutely love him as a player and as a fit here. But I don't think that Detroit will be able to give him that much for the duration of that contract, and it makes me a bit worried. The good thing is, I feel like 50 million on average, which was the extension, is actually a good price. So while I'm sitting here and saying, I'm not sure I would go into this, first of all, it's not certainty that he would still suit up for them if they didn't reach an extension, which is this is the year we want to win Superbowl. We cannot make that risk. But point and simply, I would say they were kind of forced into that extension. But at the same time, I think Jared could have asked for more given his play. So it's still probably reasonable contract that I would not be super happy to give up, but I would understand that I kind of have to because of this year Superbowl window. And because, it's not in absolute crazy amounts for Jared Goff. With Hendon Hooker, there's not much to say. I'm not sure that I should have even good backup next to him. Nothing much to say. Now let's check the weaponry, and we start with running backs of this team. And next to Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, I think that's the second best. And Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, those are the three, not necessarily the best running back rooms because they don't have Christian McCaffrey, it's that simple, or Derrick Henry, or Saquon. I would say that on the individual level, those are guys that are above any of those six that I've mentioned. But there is no better duos in the league than Montgomery Gibbs, Bijan and Tyler, and Achane and Mostert. So for Lions to have these two guys is absolutely exceptional. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's just going to enter his second season. So, I mean, what do you want me to say? And even Craig Reynolds, he just absolutely fits here. He will fight hard every time you give him a carry, every time you just put him out there to block his ass off, he will do it. He might not be the best of it, but he will always give 110%. One of the best rooms in the league, easily, and it might be at the end of the season when we talk about Jahmyr Gibbs in top 3 running back in the league conversation. Like, I have that high of an opinion on what he showed last season. There's also like part of this, like, this is insane offensive line, so like it's easier to run behind them, but I think he still showed enough of like his own quality that I would say this talk is justified. And David Montgomery, one of the most underappreciated players. Like, it's similar to, like, it's kind of similar to like Tyler Arish and Raheem Mostert. Like, everybody wants to look at flashy like Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan. Like, those are the like flashy guys, all of the fantasy owners probably have. And those are the fun guys. And then you have the guys next to them that they're just doing their job really incredibly well, and they don't necessarily are being given a huge credit, though they are being given quite nice contracts, like with Tyler Arhill being the unfortunate exception because he is still a rookie on a rookie deal, not a rookie. So exceptional room, and we might talk about them in top 3 very, very early. Now let's check their wide receivers, and the story here is Amon-Ra St. Brown. For him to be more, like, his best position by far is slot wide receiver. He is the best slot wide receiver in the league, and it's not close. And for him to still be like truly exceptional weapon, even though like slot wide receivers usually like cannot reach that height that they are like absolutely dreaded from the opponents, like they should not have this impact. Well, Amon-Ra does. And it's kudos to Jared Goff, because I think like the chemistry between these two guys, the insane quick release that Jared Goff can have, this just absolutely works. And Ben Johnson absolutely knows how to operate. Like this is marriage in a way made of heaven. In Jared Goff, this O-line, Amon-Ra and Ben Johnson, like yeah, that's it. With that being said, Amon-Ra is an absolute key, because if he goes down, this room is kind of shit. Well, you still hope that Jameson Williams will finally emerge as the guy. Like, if they've invested heavily first round pick into him, and so far he didn't return, I would say not nothing, but like 15% of that investment. Like it's kind of, I probably should not be talking about investments with Jameson and his slight gambling situation. It's not like he is a gambler, that's not the question, or as of to my knowledge, but like betting on games on your football facilities when it's forbidden, it's probably not the smartest move, and that's the case why he was missing, I think it was 4 or 6 games early last year. So you can say, well, because of injuries he didn't necessarily get to it first year, because of that he didn't necessarily get to it for second year. So there's reasonable amount of hope that with like full season he can show up to be really nice complement piece to Amon-Ra St. Brown, quite an exceptional deep threat. It's definitely there, it's in him. Like, I will not be stunned if he finishes the year as an important starter for his team. But if he doesn't make this leap this season, well, first of all, you kind of have a problem. Like, you not necessarily have secondary plan behind Jameson Williams for like more of a deep threat role. And second, you might have been like, well, we've wasted that pick because it's never going to happen. And like, yeah, you're going to get some dividend for like a nice wide receiver number 3, but that's not what you want to draft in the first round. Khalif Raymond for a guy number 3 here. I mean, you would be happier if he was, like your third best weapon by country mile in terms of wide receivers, which is not the case. He's very similar in terms of what he showed to Jameson Williams, like not the style of play, but the quality. DP Jones and is a guy that actually let go. As of right now, they have Isaiah Williams listed as their 4th guy, which is not necessarily something that you want to count on. But they have Tim Patrick coming here from Broncos. He is, as of right now, on a practice squad, but he will most likely make this team. But the question is, can he stay finally healthy? Because there is never a question of him being a good player when he can play, but he pretty much could not play 2 years for Broncos because of injuries. So we'll see in which form he comes back. And this room would be quite a big concern behind Amon-Ra and Brown on a lot of other teams. But here we really don't need to be scared because, well, your second best, let's say, wide receiver, like a guy that can catch passes, is Sam Laporta. And boy oh boy, what a rookie season for Sam Laporta. It was one of the best in tight end history. And yeah, there is no reason that for him, like similar to Jahmyr Gibbs, like we might talk about him as the top 3 tight end when the season is over. Like he is that good. He clearly is that good. And like some might say that even ranking him as an important starter as of right now might be like too low on him. And I'm like, yeah, you might argue that. Like I will probably still I will stick to my important starter, but I'm like, I can see why you think he's amazing because he was exceptional. He's year 1. I just need more. It's easy as that. They were able to keep Brock Wright, who I think it was 49ers that they tried to sign him, and he was like, no, I'm back here on reasonable contract as a backup tight end that absolutely knows what the system needs of him. He like kind of doesn't have a huge ego. He knows what he's here to do. He absolutely works here. And when I'm saying that, the fact that this wide receiver room is not necessarily great is not that of a problem. It's like, well, you have Sam Laporta, you have Jahmyr Gibbs as one of the better receiving backs in the league already, like one of the best actually. So that kind of makes up for that. The only thing that you are kind of like clearly missing is, there's one player that can catch ball and really separate, I would say easily, 50 yards down the line of scrimmage, and then Jameson Williams, but he has not been able to show that on consistent level. So, you have probably the best short to intermediate or like top 3 short to intermediate game in the entire league. Jared Goff can absolutely manipulate the space exceptionally. You have Amon-Ra, who just like, like fish in the tank. They say. I'm not sure like how to translate it into English. In Czech, it's like as a fish in the water. That's how he feels that way. Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's definitely something that it's almost unguardable or undefendable. This area of the field. The only thing is like there is not that much in terms of really making a big play, rather than like throwing it for 10 yards and then breaking 2 tackles, which is something that this offense does continuously. So they actually do have a lot of big plays, but they just don't come in necessarily traditional way. But let's now talk about this offensive line, and I already give them several amount of praises. So Penei Sewell, I think for me he is easily top 5 tackler in the league, with potential to take the crown from Trent Williams in like 2 years. I give him 2 years before the crown is his. He's absolutely exceptional. What he was doing in terms of run blocking last year, that was almost unheard of. Like it was only beat in terms of like historical performances by Trent Williams a couple years ago. He's absolutely sensational. Like when they picked him, he was instantly you knew it's going to work, and it just worked to absolute perfection. He's already gotten paid, like a year earlier than they needed, like had to. They already orchestrated a contract extension, making him the highest paid tackle in the league, and he absolutely deserves that. I'm not sure like if Tristan Wirfs maybe like overcomes him with like new contracts, but he's out there for every good of the reason, and for like next 10 years he's going to be rock solid and rock star of this offensive line. On the other hand, you have Tyler Decker, and there is really like, okay, he probably would not crack top 10 left tackles, but that only says one thing. There's insane amount of really good left tackles in the league, because everybody like, we need to protect the blind side. Like we have like plethora of exceptional left tackles, but dude, these guys like really good. Like if I say he's not the top 10 on his position, you would say like, well, he probably doesn't make a huge impact. He fucking does. Like like they are super happy to have him here. I think the plan is, I'm not sure, like, let me check on his contract, but the plan could definitely be here, for next 2 or 3 years, we are counting on you. And then probably we have a success plan, hopefully, Giovanni Manu. If that could work out, that would be absolutely exceptional. And he has, let me see, he has 4 years on his contract, so, they definitely trust him. But as of right now, and I just don't see him not being a valuable piece for them 4 years to come. But when I talk about, Jared Goff, like with Penny, you have a cap hit of around 30 millions beginning 2026. With Tyler Decker, it's 23 millions from 2025. So that's already more than 50 millions. Then you have Amon-Ra with, let me check, around 33 on average beginning 2026. And Aiden Hutchinson, he will get paid around 30 to 35 millions from 2026. So you are committing like almost, or maybe even like over 200 millions into Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, and Jared Goff from like 2026 season moving forward. Like, yeah, you can push the money down the line, you can make a lot of things done with it, but it's not like it's going to disappear into nothingness. It's just you are pushing money down the line. And that's where I'm like, like imagine the O-line that you have to fill for 5 millions pretty much, with exception of Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker. Is it necessarily something that Jared Goff can work super efficiently as he can right now? So, but that's, as I say, that's problems for the future me. And once again, when you are in a Super Bowl window and you don't necessarily have a guy like Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, etc., you should go kind of all in, and I think they've done that. So no problems with this strategy. And it's like, well, part of it probably was, well, we need to pay Jared Goff in order for him to be comfortable. And actually, I'm not sure if he would suit up for the season if he didn't reach an extension. Like, probably he would, because I just cannot imagine like kind of breaking up that relationship with Detroit. But still, you might argue that it would be something that was in his head. Now let's move towards interior of this offensive line, and they made a very smart move by letting go of Jonah Jackson, who just, like, they could have paid him for now, but from 2026, like, he would be another like big paycheck that they just don't necessarily are able to pay. And I think they brought a better player for cheaper in Kevin Zeitler. Like, the thing is, well, Kevin Zeitler is here for probably a year or two. Like, he has more injury concerns. But as of right now, he's, I think, slightly better player. And, like, you really are pushing it for this year. So this is a really smart choice in my opinion. And I'm like surprised that Ravens kind of went and like gave Morgan Moses and Kevin Zeitler almost for free towards teams that are actually trying to win Super Bowl this season. So weird strategy. We'll see how that works out for Baltimore. For the Lions, it just makes their O-line full of quality players, because on the other side, Graham Glasgow, probably your worst player, which like he would be on several rosters their best guy or their best interior offensive line player. For this group, he is the worst player here. Like, it says a lot, right? He's just really good for what he is and what you kind of need him to be. Check. So and with Graham Glasgow, you have him for like 3 million cap hit this year, 7 next, and 8 the year after that. So he is absolutely for like cheaper than he should be getting. And I think that you can say kind of the similar thing about Frank Ragnow, who is here on average like 13.5 millions. And to me, he's easily the top 3 center in the league, and guy that absolutely elevates this offensive line because of the attitude, because of the leadership, and because of the quality of his play. Like, he's probably the best run blocking center in the league. Top 5 in pass blocking I mean, maybe, in context of like elite starter status, it's kind of hard to be elite starter as a center because that position, like, like it's not super valued in a lot of people's mind, like compared to tackles, for example. But I think it's not a coincidence that Ravens have really exceptional center. Eagles up to last season had really exceptional center. Chiefs have really exceptional center. Like pretty much only team that is like year in year out there and really being great is Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen. So well, it's Josh. And the second thing is San Francisco 49ers that has the best offensive lineman in Trent Williams, have Kyle Shanahan, have like Debo and like 12 million of weapons. So I actually think that centers are a bit undervalued from like a general perspective for how much they can actually do for your offensive line. So it's just my opinion, and that's why I absolutely like needed to, or like felt that like it would be injustice if I didn't say that Frank Ragnow is an elite starter. I think he absolutely is as a center. So that's this offense. Really, there is just like one weakness here, and that's secondary, like second wide receiver. And okay, like there's two weaknesses, and depth for this offensive line. So if Amon-Ra goes down or Jameson Williams doesn't raise up to the levels that we expect of him or they expected while drafting him, and like two guys go down from this offensive line, because I think that with those pieces they can like plug me in and this line will be still like really great, because like I would be just waving to the opponent and can hold them for like 0.10 seconds before they kill me out there. But yeah, they are just this good, so like no matter who like they have to slide in, I think it's still going to work. If it would be like two players, then it's worrying because the depth is just not here. But overall, this is really exceptional offense, easily top 5 in the league. I would say even better, but so many ridiculous offenses out there that I can kind of lean towards conversation. Is this group or that group better? But overall, this is just exceptional offense, and I do expect them to have ability to put a 30 burger on anyone. I think that's just absolutely there. And if Jameson Williams hits, they can stay healthy, I think they might be the best team, the best offense in the league. They need just a couple of things for that. Now let's shift our focus towards defense, who pretty much their passing defense was the reason why they actually, was not praised as easily the best team, because they had huge problems in terms of their passing defense. They could get to the quarterback pretty much only by Aiden Hutchinson. Like, that was insane how he was like carrying that defensive line. It's like even more than Montez Sweat with the Bears, which is like we already talked about this, that was insane. And also like their corners just were really getting tortured. They invested heavily into this, and I would say that Aaron Glenn last year didn't necessarily look great. I was like, yeah, we want to play a certain way, but we don't have players for that. But we still want to play that way. And it didn't, especially in terms of pass defense, because run defense was exceptional. It was bad from the perspective of passing defense. But this year, I think he has the players, and they should definitely not suck in terms of pass defense. But let's check the talent for Aaron Glenn, who in my eyes is like a good defensive coordinator, but not someone I would necessarily say is exceptional. Like I kind of last year I would have him as a B. Like the kind of stubbornness or inability to adapt towards like, yeah, we don't have players to play what we want, kind of make me drop him a little bit, but I do expect him to bounce back for a B or even B+. The talent here starts with Aiden Hutchinson, and like, okay, you have those Myles Garrett's, Micah Parsons of the world that are the creme de la creme of edge guys. And then you still have elite starters like Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Allen, that you just have to give credit to. And this was his year 3, I believe, if I'm not hugely mistaken. And like, boy oh boy, It was his second year? Mother. It was his second year. Oh my god. Wow. It was like he just. Oh, sorry guys. Like it's a mistake on my part, but that just sucks, right? Like this was his second year and he was already this good. Oh god. It just sucks to kind of root for, like, sneaky root for Vikings in this division. Yeah. Okay, so Aiden Hutchinson in his second year was already looking like easily top 10 as edge piece in the league, and like he can easily enter defensive player of the year conversation this season. Like he's exceptional. Like, what do you want me to say? Yeah, I've said, like, you know, like if there's one player in this league that I can see, you know, this is creme de la creme, and then there's like someone that actually can crack and be even better than that, I would say it's still only Micah Parsons. But with Aiden Hutchinson, I definitely see him as being that creme de la creme for like next 8 seasons. You know, like year or two before he is out there next to Max Crosby, TJ Watt of the world, and then I think he's going to keep that status for around 6 years. So Lions, you know, good freaking job. And the rest of the age groups are how to put it? Well, not exceptional. Like they were able to pick up Marcus Davenport for cheap. Like I think it's like $6 million for 1 year for a good starter and a guy with a lot of experience. That really sounds like exceptional deal, but he comes with really huge injury concerns. So if he's out there, he's really good second piece. But most likely than not, he won't be out there, right? And Sean Kaminsky is on injury reserve, so you've lost that like piece that can, I mean, not necessarily backup to Marcus Davenport, but like overall backup for this D line. And like, do you want to, you know, count on Josh Pascal and James Houston to be your number 2, number 3? Well, you kind of don't have another choice if Marcus Davenport goes down. And why I was mentioning John Kaminsky, because one of my favorite signings of this offseason was DJ Reader. I thought that it was absolutely insane for the price they got him. And even with the injury concerns that come with this signing, this was like such a huge underpay in my opinion. And I was like, okay, you know, like we are really trying to make Lions win, aren't we? So if him and Marcus Davenport are healthy, this D-line is like top 5 in the league in a way. Like they are one of the, or no, if not the best D-line in terms of run defense. And with DJ Reader and Marcus Davenport as your number 2, number 3, with Ali McNeil actually, or maybe not, and maybe Davenport is like the 4th best pass rusher. Like suddenly this is a freaking scary D-line with like the potential of Hutchinson still. But there are two of those pieces, like there is, I would say, like 40% chance that you won't have them in playoffs, both of them. And if that will happen, it's like Levi Uzurike, James Houston, Josh Pascal, like there's going to be a ton of pressure on Ali McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson to step up. And it's not like they are absolutely screwed if that happens, but they are kind of good, only good. With these 2 guys, I mean, you can see it for me, right? And it's not like they have linebackers that elevate this room. It's more like they do not drag it down. So I really freaking like that D-line. It's insanely good D-line. It just comes with question marks in terms of injury concerns for both DJ Reader and Marcus Davenport, whom they have enough backups that like it won't screw their season to the oblivion. But if they are supposed to be juggernaut, if they are supposed to truly be the best team, which they are aiming at, then they absolutely can. They need to like wish for injury fairy tale out there to keep offensive line and pretty much defensive line healthy. Because if not, they are just going to be good in terms of the line. Now let's go and talk about linebackers. Like I said, this is again kind of I would say generic group in a way. Like you have Alexander Zalona as your like nice, good number one. Derek Barnes, Jake Campbell, Malcolm Rodriguez as your kind of rotation number two guys, which they kind of have their different skill set. Jake Campbell is like really exceptional run defender for for just a good backup, because he's absolutely atrocious in coverage. So like for specific situations, like he will be almost an asset, and you obviously hope that in year two he will figure out this position much more. And Malcolm Rodriguez and Drake Barnes, not like they are like necessary problems. Like for what it's worth, this is one of the deepest linebacker rooms. And for both Derek Barnes and Jake Campbell, you can expect for them to grow. So this is a generic linebacker room in terms of quality right now. Good enough piece number one, good enough piece number two, and some of the backups. Like nothing that makes you exciting. It could, I would say, not necessarily become a strength of this team, but it could be something like a top 10, borderline top 10 linebacker room if both Jake Campbell and Derek Barnes hit their developmental traits and move up my rankings. Which is, again, if this team is about to win a Super Bowl, this is actually not necessarily what needs to happen. I think it's gonna be nice benefit if these guys improve. But this is not make or break their season, and they are deep enough that this room, despite not being anything super fun, they are good enough and deep enough to not break your season, and they clearly invested resources somewhere else. Now let's talk about safeties, and with safeties it's a talk about Brian Branch in a way. Like, what is he? Because as of right now he's listed as a strong safety, while he probably his natural position is slot corner, or not his natural, his best position. So if he would be full-time safety, the D plus that I gave this room is just absolutely ridiculous level, right? For my rankings, I count for him as 80% slot corner and 20% safety. That's where D plus comes, because neither Kirby Joseph, neither Ifeatu Malifonwu are good as of right now, but for both of them, you can definitely see them growing up, not growing up, they are grown-ups, right? But improving. So I would say that this room, let's put Brian Branch, let's ignore Brian Branch for a while. This room is, as a D plus, is really a room that I'm excited about, because I definitely see them become something like a C plus or even B minus end of the season, because they don't give me any reason to not suspect really good growth for both of these guys. When you put Brian Branch in the mix, it's you are improving this room, but you are stopping one of these guys from development, which as of right now they would list Ifeatu Malifonwu as a backup because of injury concern. So maybe it's we list Brian Branch, but we really hope that he only needs to play safety if one of these guys is unhealthy, which is a reasonable approach, because as a slot corner he is absolutely exceptional. So let's hope that he will play there. And with him as a slot, then you go towards Carlton Davis, who really could go either way, whether it's important starter or good starter. As your number one, you are not excited about this, but he will kind of get the job done, and it's improvement from what you had last season. Then you have Amik Robertson, who, for what it's worth, can play some of the Brian Branch slot corner / dime in case that Brian Branch needs to go and play safety. So you have a plan, and he's good enough player to play there. And then you have your kind of two rookies to eventually overcome, I would say, Carlton Davis in the future. But as of right now, Terron Arnold should start opposite to Carlton Davis, and Anis Rakeso as your really kind of fine backup option. So in great, how I would envision they will put this up is Kirby Joseph and Malifonwu as safeties, Brian Branch and slot, and Carlton Davis next to Terron Arnold in terms of outside corners. And as of right now, this is good enough secondary. The scary thing is, for 4 out of 5 of these players, you do expect them to improve. You do expect Brian Branch to become amazing starter this year. You do expect Kerry Joseph and Maifong to become at least good starters this year. Like, okay, not you, I do, okay. With Terran Allen, I would say good starter as well. So, and Carlton Davis, like, if he stays healthy, I'm almost certain that he will earn the important starter status with me as well. So, what starts is like a secondary that is like good enough, can end up as a true weapon for his team in a way, because you would really have top 7-ish secondary if these guys would improve towards those grades that I've laid out for them. And it's not like you are not necessarily kind of deep to handle things. Like I said, Brian Branch could handle duties for the safeties, where like if there is like I would say one criticism, it's I would love for them to sign one of the cheaper safeties out there, where it was like Quandre Diggs, Eddie Jackson, even like Jamal Adams. For them to be like in a rotation for these guys, I would most likely like for them to sign Eddie Jackson, who I think would be okay-ish to not be a starter. And just like, you know, we trust these two guys. If one of them goes down or if one of them doesn't develop really good, let's insert Eddie Jackson and we are fine. And we don't need to like put Brian Branch out of his best position. So there's just like one slight hint of criticism towards roster building, because there is pretty much no other safety on this roster that I trust if one of these two guys still goes down, and they kind of have to go to Brian Branch in my opinion. So that's that. That kind of ends the roster breakdown for the Lions, and it was fun. It was fun. I absolutely love Dan Campbell's personality. I just truly believe pretty much everything he puts out there, like his raw emotion. I absolutely like that he is a grown-up man that, you know, looks hard, plays hard, preaches to play hard, and still he can have emotions. He can show emotions. He can cry. I think that's really a nice role model for people out there. It's not weakness, like to be able to show that you are disappointed from something, that something hurts you. Like, it's not a weakness to show it. It's actually, I would say, is a strength that you are so confident in yourself that you can show the world that, well, this hurt me. So for like purposes beyond NFL, I just hope Dan Campbell and the Lions will be a success for a long time, because he is one of those guys that I think are absolute great role models for, you know, that combine, I would say, guys like me that have a lot of emotions, as well as guys like, you know, gym guys, for like lack of better terms, that are about like really working hard in terms of their physical appearance. Like for me, it's more about my mind and like my emotional intelligence and stuff like that. And he kind of says and like shows the world, like, look at this. This can be merged and this can be absolutely great. So that was like one personal thing that I wanted to share with you guys. And Dan Campbell, absolutely love you, man. Hope that you will do miracles for this team and continue to just be who you are, because that's the guy that I have no trouble believe that every one of the guys in the locker room are absolute bliss for them to follow. So that's your Lions. And how are they in terms of floor and in terms of their upside for the season? And I will go out there and say the floor for this team is 10 wins, because I'm not saying I don't care about the schedule. It's a hard schedule. The division is hard. But to me, like I said, when I'm talking about floor and when I'm talking about upside, like for them to not hit 10 wins, it would have to be several things going really poorly. And it's just not likely that all of these things would come together. Like, obviously, when I say we talk about 90% of outcomes, this doesn't cover they lose Jared Goff week 1 like the Jets did last season. In that case, it's obviously everything is out of the window, right? So it covers, like, I wouldn't say normal situations, but not the absolute dream, nightmare, worst case scenarios. Okay. So in that case, like I just don't see them winning less than 10 games with this coaching staff, with like I would say almost everyone hoping that they will be good. And with this roster, yeah, I think that 10 wins is my floor. I just cannot go lower. In terms of upside, I don't like, unlike for example with Ravens, that I'm like I record this actually, truth to be told, I record this after the Ravens episode. Because like for one reason or not, I wanted to talk about Ravens in a particular time yesterday. I have, spoiler alert, higher upside potential for the Ravens, because it feels like if 3 or 4 things that I have huge question marks go really their way, I can see them winning 14 games. With Lions, I just don't see that many question marks. So I think their floor and their upside is much more like slimmer in terms of where the probabilities lie, but still 13 wins, that could be great enough or good enough for number 1 seed in the whole conference. And yeah, like I can absolutely see them winning the Super Bowl. I'm not gonna be sitting here and say I'm not. Like I like this team. I think everybody kind of sees that they are a Super Bowl contender this season. In terms of their future, I would say next year is pretty much still their absolute top window. And then it's going to be interesting how they can handle, actually those cap hits for their own players starting to, come together. So 2026 and forward, I'm not sure, but yeah, for next 2 years they are definitely out there to win a Super Bowl. And it could be that Ben Johnson even stays for that second year, which is like, well, still we are in that 5th year option for some guys, and like. For next season, just to give you like one last thing. Like next year, Aiden Hutchinson 11 million just. Penei Sewell only 9.5 in terms of cap hit. Amon-Ra only 13 millions. Jared Goff only 33. So next year it's like that last year, and then it's like from 33 to 70 in terms of cap hit. From 13.9 to 33. From 9.5 to 28. So like just on 3 players, that 1 year makes about 90 million in terms of cap hit. So it's going to be really interesting how they will handle it like 26 and moving forward. But for next 2 years, this season and the following one, they are a force to be reckoned with, and they definitely have it, I would say, in them to actually be Super Bowl winners twice. Like I'm not saying it's obviously likely, but what is it like this year? They have about 12%, something like that, based on odds and things. For next year, I think it could be really even better. Like I actually do feel like their roster should be better next year than it's this year. So it could be something like 15%. So like to win in either of those 2 years, it feels like it's like almost 30%. So that's really good news. And to win in both situations, we are really going down into like 2%, 3%, but still, for Lions fans, if I say like there's 2% chance then back to back you are going to win a Super Bowl, yeah, that definitely feels absolutely nice. So really fun team, really great personalities, really great chances to win a Super Bowl, and they should be absolute joy to watch this season. So thank you very much. I hope this was almost the same joy to watch me as it would be to watch Lions next season. And we see you with the next one, which, like spoiler alert, like it's going to be Ravens, but in real time it's going to be San Francisco 49ers. Thank you very much for listening. See you with the next one. Bye bye.